Hello and welcome to 3 is Code. We're going to build the foundation for a fully responsive website using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. I'll show you how to use CSS media queries to make your site look amazing on any device. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how a professional, responsive website is built from scratch. Are you ready? Let's open our editors and go. In VS Code, just press Shift plus exclamation point plus Enter. Boilerplate code is ready. Now don't ignore this, it's actually super important. First, DOCTYPE HTML. This tells the browser we're using HTML5. Miss this and your site can break into weird quarks mode. Next, HTML lang. This helps with SEO and accessibility. Screen readers and search engines understand your page better. Inside it, we have 2 main parts, head and body. Head is behind-the-scenes stuff. Body is everything users actually see. Inside the head, we have meta charset UTF-8. This lets you use all characters and emojis. Meta name Viewport. This is the most important line. Without it, your site won't work properly on mobile. And finally, title. This is what shows in the Browser tab. Make it meaningful, like modern landing page. Now, before building UI, we link our CSS file using link stylesheet style.css. All right, the brain of our page is ready. Now let's build the body, starting with this crazy navigation bar. We will wrap it in a header tag. I see people using divs for everything, and it is a disaster. Using semantic tags like header is so much better. It literally tells browsers and screen readers, hey, this is the header. Inside the header, we'll throw in a logo and then a nav tag for our links. Inside the nav, we're using anchor tags, that point to section IDs like #home. This is what creates that insane smooth scrolling effect on one-page websites. We'll also add a Get Started button and a hamburger menu icon that will only show up on phones. And that's our header. It's clean, it makes sense, and it's ready to be styled. All right, now it's time to build the most exciting part of any website, the hero section. Every amazing website needs a powerful hero section because this is the first thing users see. First impression is everything. So let's create a section and give it an ID of home so our navigation links can scroll here smoothly. Inside this hero section, we're going to divide it into 2 parts, left side for text content and right side for visual content. For the left side, we create a div, and inside that, we add our main headline using an H1 tag. Now, listen carefully. Pro tip. You should use only one H1 per page. This is super important for SEO. Multiple H1 tags confuse search engines. Inside this, we can also use a span tag. This is a powerful trick. It lets us style just one word differently later using CSS. Below the heading, we add a paragraph to describe our product or service, and then we create 2 buttons for actions like Get Started or Learn More. Now for the right side, we create another div for visuals. Inside it, we can use a pre-tag to display code. The pre-tag preserves spacing and formatting, which makes code look clean and readable. Now let's move to the Featured Services section. We create another section with ID of Featured, and inside we start with a section title using an H2 tag. And always follow heading order properly. H1, then H2, then H3. This keeps your structure clean and improves SEO. Next, we create a container div that will hold multiple service cards. Each card is a div, and inside it, we add an icon, a title using H3, and a description using a paragraph. This card layout is used on almost every modern website. Next, let's build the testimonials section. We create another section with ID of testimonials, and inside we add a heading. Then we create a container div to hold our testimonial cards. This track will move later using JavaScript. Inside the track, each testimonial is a card. Each card contains a user avatar, name, job title, star rating, and a testimonial paragraph. Below the track, we add navigation controls, left and right arrows, and navigation dots. Remember, HTML builds the structure, JavaScript adds functionality. Now let's build the contact section. We create a section with ID of contact and add a heading. Then we add a form element. Inside the form, we add input for name and input type email for email. Using type email automatically adds validation in the browser. We also add the required attribute so users cannot submit empty fields. For the message, we use a text area. And finally, a button with type submit to send the form. And now let's finish with the footer. We add a footer tag and include a simple copyright message. And now the final step. Right before closing the body tag, we add our JavaScript file using a script tag. This is a best practice because it allows the page to load faster before JavaScript runs. And that's it. From a blank file, we just built a complete modern landing page structure using clean HTML. Right now, it looks simple because there's no CSS yet, but this structure is the most important part. We now have header, hero section, services, testimonials, contact form, and footer. This is a real project you can add to your portfolio. Next step is to style it using CSS and add interactivity with JavaScript. Before writing any CSS, real developers don't jump straight into styling. We first build a strong foundation, because a strong base makes everything scalable, clean, and easy to manage. In the next few minutes, you'll see how this entire modern website is built using pure CSS, step by step. Let's get started. CSS is not just about colors and spacing. The real game is structure, control, and scalability. So when we open the CSS file, we don't start randomly. We start with the foundation. At the very top, we use the universal selector. This targets every element on the page. We remove default margin and padding, apply border box, and set the font to Poppins. Now, why is this important? Because browsers add their own default spacing. If you don't reset it, your layout becomes inconsistent. And here's the key: box sizing border box. Normally, when you set width and add padding, the element grows bigger than expected. But with border box, padding stays inside. So if you set 300 pixel width, it stays exactly 300 pixels. No surprises, no broken layouts, just clean control. Next, smooth scrolling. Just one line, but it makes your navigation feel modern and fluid when users click links. Now, here's where things get interesting. Variables inside root. This is your control center. You define colors like background, card, primary, secondary, text, and muted. Instead of repeating colors everywhere, you define them once and reuse them. And here's the power. If you change one value, your entire website updates instantly. That's not just CSS, that's scalable design thinking. Next, we style the body. We apply background and text color using variables. Now your entire website follows one consistent dark theme. Now the navbar. We use display flex. Flexbox arranges everything in a row, logo on one side, links on the other. Justify content space between pushes them apart. Align items center aligns them perfectly. And just like that, clean, professional layout. Now let's enhance it. The logo is bigger, bold, and has a glow using text shadow. Small detail, big visual impact. Navigation links start with a muted color. On hover, they turn white. But the real magic is transition. Without it, the change feels harsh. With it, everything feels smooth and premium. Navbar button uses a gradient background, rounded corners, and padding. Simple, but modern and clickable. Now the main part, the hero section. This is your first impression. Here we use CSS Grid. Grid allows layout in rows and columns. We split the screen into 2 equal parts, content on the left, visuals on the right. We also use full screen height, so the hero always fills the screen. Strong, clean, impactful. Now, the wow moment, gradient text. We apply gradient as background, clip it to the text, and make the text transparent, and boom, modern gradient typography. Looks complex, but it's just smart CSS. Paragraph uses muted color so it doesn't overpower the heading. Buttons are placed using flex with spacing. Main button uses gradient. On hover, it moves slightly up and adds shadow. This creates a floating effect. Now your UI feels alive. Code box uses card background, padding, rounded corners, and glow. Simple design, premium feel. Now, featured section. We use a responsive grid. Cards automatically adjust based on screen size. No extra work. Each card has padding, border, and rounded corners. On hover, it moves up and changes border color. Small animation, big difference. Now, services section, and this is where design gets deeper. We add radial gradients in the background. This creates depth. Now your UI doesn't look flat, it feels layered. Inside, we control width using a wrapper. Grid layout keeps everything aligned. On large screens, we show 3 columns: clean, balanced, readable. Each service card follows the same pattern: padding, border, gradient background, hover effect. Consistency is what makes your design look professional. Badge on top right highlights important content. Users' attention goes there instantly. CTA button changes on hover, adding interaction. Every small feedback improves user experience. Now, reviews section. Cards are arranged in a row using flex. Center card is bigger and clearer. Side cards fade slightly. This creates focus. Navigation arrows and dots improve usability. Users always know where they are. Now, contact section. Clean layout. Form uses column structure. Spacing handled with gap. Inputs are simple, rounded, and modern. Footer is minimal. No clutter, just clean design. Now, responsiveness, the real test. On smaller screens, navbar becomes a hamburger menu. Menu is hidden above the screen and slides down smoothly. That smooth animation comes from transition and transform working together. Hero section changes to 1 column. Everything stacks vertically. Better readability on mobile. So understand this. This is not just CSS. You are controlling layout, responsiveness, animation, and overall user experience. You are thinking like a real developer. You're not just styling, you're building how users feel your website. And now it's time to level up. In the next part, we're diving into JavaScript, where this design actually comes to life. We'll add real interaction, smooth animations, and dynamic behavior. Things like the carousel, mobile menu toggle, and all the logic that makes your website feel alive. So get ready, because now we're moving from design to logic. Let's quickly understand the setup. Before we write any JavaScript, let's quickly understand the setup. We already have HTML with a wrapper, a track, and multiple slides inside it. The wrapper hides overflow so only one portion is visible, and the track holds all slides in a row. Right now, it's just a static row. When you reach the end, it stops. Our goal is to make it feel like it scrolls infinitely. Now we jump into JavaScript and start by selecting elements. To make things cleaner, we create a shortcut function using $. Instead of writing document.selector query again and again. This is just for convenience and readability. We select the track, which moves, the wrapper, visible area, and all slides inside the track. Now here's something important. When we use track.children, we get something called an HTML collection. It looks like an array, but it's not a real array. It doesn't have useful methods like map, slice, or for each. Also, it's live, meaning it automatically updates when the DOM changes. This can cause problems. so we convert it into a real array using array.from. Now we can safely use all array methods and work with it easily. Now comes the core concept, making the carousel infinite. The trick is actually very smart. Instead of looping naturally, we create an illusion by cloning slides. We take the first slide and clone it, the last slide and clone it. Then we add the first clone at the end and the last clone at the beginning. So the structure changes like this. Original, slide 1 to slide 2 to slide 3. After cloning, clone last to slide 1 to slide 2 to slide 3 to clone first. Now, when the user scrolls forward and reaches clone first, it looks like the next slide. At that exact moment, we secretly jump back to the real slide 1. Because both look identical, the user doesn't notice anything. This is the illusion of infinity. After adding clones, we must update our slides array again. Why? Because the DOM has changed, and our old array doesn't include the clones. So we again use array.from track.children to refresh it. Then we set our starting index to 1. Why not 0? Because index 0 is now the cloned last slide. The real first slide is at index 1. Now comes the most important part, handling the invisible jump. We use an event called transition end. This event fires when a CSS animation or transition completes. So every time the carousel slides, this event checks where we are. If we land on the cloned first slide at the end, we remove animation by setting transition none, jump index back to the real first slide, and update position instantly. Because there's no transition, the jump is invisible. Same logic applies when moving backward to the cloned last slide. This is what makes the loop feel seamless. Now let's talk about smooth movement. Instead of using properties like left or margin, we use transform translateX. Why? Because transform is GPU accelerated, which makes animations much smoother and faster. Now we need to calculate how much to move. We create a function to get slide width. But here's a deeper detail. Slides might have a gap between them from CSS. If we ignore this gap, our alignment breaks. So we also read the gap value using getComposedStyle. This makes our calculation accurate and flexible. Next, we center the slide. We calculate how much space is left in the wrapper and adjust the position so the active slide sits exactly in the center. This small detail makes the carousel look much more polished and professional. Then we create two functions, one for setting position instantly and one for setting position with smooth transition. This separation gives us better control. Now we make it interactive. For autoplay, we use setInterval to automatically move slides after a few seconds. But here's an important improvement. When the user hovers over the carousel, we pause autoplay using clearInterval, and when they leave, we restart it. We don't resume the old interval, we create a new one to avoid timing bugs. Now for navigation dots. We only want dots for real slides, not clones, so we use slice to ignore the first and last elements, which are clones. Then we create dots dynamically. Each dot represents a slide. Whenever the slide changes, we update the active dot. We remove active class from all dots and add it to the correct one. We use index -1 because our slide index starts from 1, but arrays start from 0. And that's it. That's the full logic behind an infinite carousel. It may look complex at first, but when you break it down, cloning creates the illusion, transition end handles invisible resets, transform makes animation smooth, and array methods make logic easier, and small details like gap and centering make it professional. Now you not only know how to build it, you understand how it actually works. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Like, subscribe, and let's build something even better next time.